Yeah, so Oliver Haan, I'm a first generation farmer in Eastern Ontario. I've Our business model has been focused on sustainability, um, and we've done that in a lot of different ways. With our livestock, we are multi-species, so primarily pigs and cattle, and we do some other small livestock ventures alongside that. We run on about 800 acres of diversified crops, so everything for our own animals first and foremost, and then we do hay, we do sunflowers, we do field peas, and soybeans, corn, wheat. We have, like I say, quite a diversified crop. So that's all focused around sustainability, and the big thing that we've done that differentiates us is that we went back in early 2000s. We went into local food and direct-to-consumer marketing. So a lot of our product goes into the restaurant trade and has a story with it, and then we do direct to mom and pop feeding the family. So a little different business model than a lot of other farms, but a model that's worked for us. I think the big three right now, I think, and it's really coming to light with all the changes that's happening globally. But competitiveness, the ability to make a dollar while raising livestock, especially the pork industry. That one's huge at the moment, and it takes some ingenuity to make it work. The other one that I see that's becoming a bigger challenge, yes, it quieted down during COVID, but the whole issue around society and societal acceptance of modern agricultural practices, everything from how we care for our livestock, how we care for the environment, how we care for the soil, all of that sort of stuff. We're putting under a lot of scrutiny these days, and I think that's an area that we're feeling really hard here in Eastern Ontario, because we've had a massive migration of new entrants into the community, and so we're definitely feeling a lot of pressure on that. And I think that the third one is just overall management. The ability, again, because of our diversification, and I really think that it's important that we accept and we start to realize that diversification isn't something that just small farmers do, like ourselves. Diversification is something that is becoming more mainstream. It wasn't that way a number of years ago when I went to school, but I see diversification is becoming a tool in order to mitigate risk. And so I'm seeing, and I definitely feel the challenges of juggling a lot of different balls and a lot of different things at the same time. So those would be my top three. I was blessed to have been involved in the pork industry for a number of years in a leadership capacity. I was blessed to have spent a fair bit of time with organizations such as ALRIC. Most of what I find is things that kind of pop into my head or come into conversation, and I typically find myself turning to social media, the internet, Google searches, that sort of stuff. Seems to be where I start doing my homework, and it's sort of in my go-to. And usually you find yourself having to sift through some of the chaff that's there to get to the solid, good quality grain and good knowledge. So it does take a little bit of time, but that's typically where I go looking for ideas or confirmation that I'm either on the right track or way out left field. On the livestock side of it, actually an older, some work that ALRIC was very actively involved with a number of years ago. And that was the whole conversation and the research that went around gut health of livestock. Understanding that has paid huge dividends for us. We do utilize some alternate feeds, and so understanding how that all works and potentially works, both the pluses and the negatives, is probably the one that on the livestock side I see the most advantage. And the second one that is going to be huge this year, you know, and you're starting to see $2.12 diesel fuel. We did spend a lot of time, and we continue to improve the whole no-till technology for all of our crops. We're doing more and more, you know, complete no-till, and I'm seeing huge benefits for the farm on the no-till technology stuff. So those are the two that I'm getting the most bang for right now. Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things, and it's been talked about in a lot of circles, and that is making sure that research gets into the hands of the primary producer. I'm well aware that there's a fair bit of research that's gotten done that, you know, ends up on a shelf collecting dust, and that's you know, that's disappointing. That's you know, I see that as you know, very unfortunate situation. Again, I think today's world, the you know, the social media, the online platforms, I'm fairly certain that I'm not the minority. I think I'm in part of the majority that you know, does search, and so I think that when research is being done, that research is then you know, promoted, or you know, that the catchwords and so on and so forth are put into it, so that you know, it gets the exposure on the online platforms that you know, will get people like myself and other keen farmers to you know, to open it up, take a look, and read through it. So, and I think the other side of it is, you know, if you want me to read it and get farmers to read it, the use of you know, common language is critically important. I respect the scientific jargon, but you know, the reality is that it makes it for a tough read, and unless you're really keenly interested, you're not going to maybe get the full value out of that research. I think that's to me, that'd be an area that where I'd be trying to promote it. Well, we just talked about, you know, the making it accessible. I think that's critically important. You know, getting the word out, making it so that, you know, Google and those platforms can find it, so that you know, farmers and industry as a whole can you know, read it, understand it. I mean, the other part of it is in agriculture, and I mean, it's no secret. I mean, we run a very slim margin. Agriculture, you know, and especially livestock agriculture, you know, is under an awful lot of pressure from on the economic side. It gets tough. It gets tough to roll the dice on research, especially projects that require you know, capital investment or significant changes in operation, without, you know, sort of that without that guarantee. I think that's why it's really important that you know, when possible, I always liked and I always appreciated having the opportunity to be involved in research that was actually done on farm, rather than, you know, just in a laboratory or a virtual type setting. You know, those are, to me, that adds credibility to research, that gets me believing that, hey, this may work or may not. But again, I think we have to keep in mind that you know, so the whole situation in agriculture, the financial realities, I do believe that's a significant barrier. I know it's some of the stuff that I look at it now, like you said, we use no-till as a simple one. I mean, it's a significant investment to go to no-till equipment, but I mean, the rewards are there. But it's sometimes, taking that bold step is, a gamble, and sometimes we're cautious. Agriculture farmers are typically cautious. For for up and coming researchers, as far as my personal advice, and I'll be upfront. I mean, I appreciate all the effort that folks are doing in the research field. I mean, it's moved agriculture ahead an awful lot. So my hat's off to anyone who wants to be involved in research. I do think it's important to get a good understanding of some of the realities that are out there. Spend some time with farmers, spend some time in barns, and with livestock in a commercial, in a normal setting, to really understand that the day-to-day challenges and what we need to overcome, but also some of the barriers to some of the ideas, so that research actually benefits agriculture. I think that's the big one. Like I say, spend a little time and really build that baseline understanding of the I guess reality of what I and others face on a day-to-day basis. I guess, like I say, when I look at a few things, with regards to what's worked for me, will it work for others? No, maybe yes. I'm not sure. I think that one of the areas that I really see changing in agriculture, and I think the need has to continue to change, and that's the whole diversification. I'm that age group that I went to school, ag school, and in the early '80s, and at that time, the model of bigger is better, and your mono agriculture, and you get really, really good at what you do. And that was how success was achieved. Though I think those days are behind us. I really, really do. I think that there's so much volatility out there that regardless of the size of your operation, regardless of your skill sets and everything else, I think that diversified agriculture is something that we need to all look at, and I think it starts with land-based. I think I feel strongly that you need to have a land base to control some of your inputs and buffer yourself with the volatility of things like the crop inputs and so on and so forth. So I'm a firm believer that, and I know a lot of the bigger operations. I mean, things that I spend a lot of time and I have a keen interest in, and I think it's because of society, above and beyond the diversification. I look at alternate feeds. Lots of conversations out there, especially in the hog industry, but livestock as a whole. The whole feed issue of alternate feeds is something that we need to spend some time on. When you look at the price of growing crops and storing them and so on and so forth, I think we have to spend some time there. The whole regenerative agriculture, and the role that livestock plays into regenerative agriculture, I think is critically important. When we're seeing over a course of 12 months an almost doubling of fertilizer prices, to me that's an area where sustainability can be achieved, or or a greater chance of success achieved in agriculture if we can, control some of our inputs. And so those are the areas that I think that we really, really need to focus. But the big one with all of this right now, and I still think is the pressure that we're going to continue getting, and that's that whole area of societal pressure. And I think that, as researchers, or for researchers, and I think we've seen that loud and clear here during this COVID, we can't hide behind science. We can't say, well, the science says, and thus, all's good and all's well. Society isn't buying that. And so, we need to overcome the whole challenge of societal acceptance. But we also have to do a really good job as researchers and as producers and as industry leaders to market what we know as good solid farming practices, and we don't do a good job of that. Agriculture does not do a good job of it. Part of it is we're 2% of society. Even if we have industry and researchers and so on and so forth, we're still making up less than 5% of society, with 90-some% of society and a whole pile of those pushing back against us. But we do have to do a really good job of that, and not hide just behind the science says. I guess that's what